incredible. A divine contraption that I would dearly love to inspect.
Welcome, travelers of the internet, to Brighthelm Recording. This is your host, Master Barkle, playing the Pillars of Eternity. And last we left off, we were in a bog. We killed Lengrath and 2 dragons this time. And it's high time we get back onto the main storyline. The assassin at large. And we gotta go speak with Delamgon at Ter Everon in Elm's Reach. We'll get to that stuff. We did swap out the party. Aloth with Ravius. Zawa with Kana. And Mainha with Pelagina. Okay.
Not a problem.
Said Ter Everon. My goodness. Where is There it is. Found it. Oh. Theos.
You have stayed true to our cause, Inquisitor, when so many others have not. For every heretic we confess, for every betrayer that burns on our pyres, new sheep continue to flock to Iavara ex Incios. But not you. I underestimated you in the beginning, but no longer.
You honor me, Grand Inquisitor.
It is not for honor that I summoned you today, but for duty. Too many of our own have confessed upon the wheel and the rack and the flame. Too many of our faithful have had their minds poisoned by the Kratom witch. The tide is against us now. We have but one option. Iavara's following must see her exposed for what she is. She must confess her heresy before my court.
How would we reach her?
Not in Kratom, surely. Their lord has embraced her heathen faith and protects her with his army. But in Oceanus, things would be different. The king of Oceanus is a sinful man. We have helped him to see the error of his ways, and now he fears for his soul. He would pay any price for absolution.
But how would we get Iavara to move to Oceanus?
You have already done much for the Inquisition. I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
See. Oh, dead am gone. 2 identical women seem to fade into view as they move away from the great trees that camouflage them. Their skin is tree bark, rigid and scaly, wreathed in a curling tangle of roots, buds, and blooms. Their hair hangs beneath the shade of serrated leaves like the drooping branches of the elms above, and the pupils of their eyes are encircled by hundreds or even thousands of concentric rings, as if to mark the accumulated wisdom of millennia.
Turn around, flesh creature. Outsiders are not permitted to approach the elms.
That's... I feel like that's a bit of a slur. You can't just say that.
Do you not feel it, sister? Something familiar. An ancient soul, like the other one. Another defiler, no doubt. Let us fell him and be troubled no more. It would pay the debt of his predecessor.
That predecessor is probably Theos.
So it would seem, Rhiannon. But we must not hasten to judgment. I see a different motive here. Different questions in these eyes.
You guys are very quiet.
What of it, young trespasser? Is it as my sister says? Or are you here to stain this place with foul deeds?
I do seek a man that came through here. It seems that you've already met him.
There, by his own admission, Sheetha.
Really, sister? And you wonder why your leaves begin to fall out before midsummer. Clearly that man did not want to be followed. Whatever the relationship here, I suspect it is anything but cordial.
That's right.
The answer is yes, Old One. We crossed paths with Theos not long ago, and we can tell you where he went. But I find it curious that anyone would seek him out. Suspicious, even. If we are to help you find him, we would know why.
I have a problem. I'm a bit awakened, and he might be the only one who can fix it.
Ah, so you do. I should have seen it when you first approached.
We are slipping in our advanced age, sister.
She called herself old.
I see it now. You are awakened. Your soul is awake, and something once buried deep now wells to the surface. Past overwhelms present, closes in around you. Your time has nearly reached its end.
I just need to get to Theos.
I am sorry to tell you this, but Theos cannot give you what you seek, nor can any man. An awakening cannot be undone, any more than your past can be undone.
What do you treat ladies know? What's she mean? I thought Mayorwald said...
What? But that can't be right. Not after everything. There must be someone else we can ask. We did not come down this road together to be refused passage by a bear of talking saplings.
Maldito, there must be some way. So this has all been for nothing, and I'm going to lose my mind.
The soul is formless without a past to shape it. Did you truly expect to be able to wipe it away?
I would have tried putting things right. A noble thought, but for the lifetime to separate you from your problems.
However, as much as my sister speaks truly that there is no way back from an awakening, there may yet be a way forward. Would you agree, Sheetha?
I would. Were the way not so likely to end in death.
It's gonna be one way or the other.
It may, but not all deaths are alike, and the man you pursue is versed in thousands of them.
The man Theos you must already know by now. You are linked by a common past. Something about it lingers within you, festering, unresolved. What it is I cannot see any more than you. And without that knowledge, your doom is certain. But were you to learn the source of this discord, perhaps it could be put to rest. Though it is equally possible it will trouble you as much now as it did then, and merely speed your condition to its end.
My past comes to me in pieces. How do I unlock the rest?
You might wait for it to come on its own, of course. But when it comes, it will replace your sanity's last breath. Such is the nature of your condition.
I need to put my past ghosts to rest.
Or you could learn it from someone who already knows.
Theos. He called me Inquisitor. I was clearly someone close to him.
It is said the gods made his memory perfect, that he may never forget his charge. If he ever knew, he still does.
Not that he would tell you, of course.
Of course.
You have followed the right person for the wrong reason, it seems. We see it often beneath the elms. The soul dragging mind and body to unknown places for unfathomable reasons. You may have wandered into Theos' path many times, in many lifetimes, without an awakening to show you why.
The only thing that's certain is you did not find what you sought.
You said you know where he went?
He has gone down beneath the tower to a place older than we, where the people of Engwith once walked. He makes his way to the buried city, sun and shadow.
So I gotta head down.
May he stay down there and rot with the remains of his people.
His people? The Engwithans?
He may yet. He won't be returning the way he came, that much is certain. He opened a secret path in the tower's base, and saw it destroyed behind him through some vile means.
So is there any other way?
We know of one. On the burial isle, through the court of the penitents, Braeth Yaman. A shortcut, in fact.
Nice.
Don't be cruel, sister.
Uh-oh.
The way my sister speaks of is not for the faint of heart. A great pit at the center of a forgotten court, where faiths were judged in place of crimes. To most, it is simply a gateway to death. With the help of the gods, it can take you where you want to go.
The help of the gods.
The pit is said to have been a means of judgment by the gods. Those cast into it are meant to die. It is that way you must pass to reach Sun and Shadow.
Just jump into a pit, and if the gods judge me worthy, I survive. If not, it's over.
The court is old. We do not know much for certain, but it would seem only the gods themselves can grant passage.
Grant passage, yeah. Who's to say the gods even know about it? Like, what if we've had people just jumping in there for centuries and centuries and centuries, and every single one of them splat on the floor, skeletons. Can you hear it from all the way up?
No more than a ruin now. It is older than we. A place for the trial of heretics. We were not here to witness it. But at one time there was a group that refused to acknowledge the gods. Neither the first nor the last, of course, but these were numerous and all put on trial for it. Those who did not repent were cast into the pit and imprisoned below.
Imprisoned? Sure.
The fall killed them, of course. The prison was not for people, but for their souls, and their sentences were eternal. It is said that many of the condemned repented and were permitted by the gods to ascend from the pit, so long as they pledged their service to one of them. But these are old legends.
So is there any other way I can get the gods to help me? Like, do I just fall by the bedside and pray and hope that they acknowledge me?
Behind us is Ter Evron, said to pierce the shroud itself and a place of communion with all gods. If ever there was a time for prayer, you have found it.
Who would I pray to? Any gods you can, I should think.
I would pray first to those gods you like best. I hope for your sake the feeling is shared.
But Abydon's supposedly dead. How do I pray?
Ter Evron is also called the Hall of Stars, and the stars show us the allegiances of the gods. When stars are in conjunction, we know the gods they represent are aligned as well.
Mm-hmm.
You should choose a place to pray where you'll be closest to those you want to hear you. If a god stands alone, you should pray to that god. If they band together, you should address them all. Choose your words wisely, for all gods expect proper homage, and none has patience for fools.
Well, I ain't got patience for fools either. Okay.
Before you go, tell me this, old one. I'm curious. If you were to subdue your enemy, what would you do with him? What would give you peace?
I think he should be destroyed utterly, because he's just going to come back if I kill him. And with my Watcher powers, I just might have the chance of doing that. Just end for a vicious man. Give him our worst.
All the same, think on this matter. Be assured in your course. In the end, it may mean all the difference, not just to his soul, but to yours. And be warned. Some questions have answers that can never be learned, and it is those that trouble the soul above all others. May you find an answer to yours.
Okay. Into Ter Evron. Book of the Hunt. Daily affirmations of focus and efficiency. excerpts from the Sermon of Struggle, the Midwife's Memoirs, the Queen That Was, and still is. Final Journal of Jonas, Missives of the Hand Occult, The Many Faces of Bareth. Bareth seems like the good neutral choice. And the one that probably would like me to destroy Theos the most. I feel like Woodica would probably be the worst choice, considering Theos thinks he's sent by... I immediately forget her name. Justice and Judgment, all that. 10 Years of Dawn. Is it probably to Aethys? He's dead. Selected Correspondences of Giftbringer Aiden. Or Iben? Or Aiden. Aiden. That'd be Andra. Cold would be... He's also of death, but like unending death. Not life and death. Shattered and charred stone blocks the passage into sun and shadow. Luminescent Adra shard. Okay.
Incredible. A divine contraption that I would dearly love to inspect.
That looks like Abaddon and maybe the Hunt. Who is this? Gallowayne. Snarling Hound, Fangs bared. Woodica is gone and dead. The Reamer gone. That was the guy of Frost. Okay. Is that Hylia? Hylia's a bit of a... Yeah, she probably wouldn't like me. Killed a lot of dragons. And Bareth. Bareth would probably be the best choice, honestly. And Wild Shrine. Piercing ring fills your ears. I guess Wild doesn't really like me that much. Uncovering all the mysteries. Let's pray to Bareth, I suppose. You kneel before the shrine and prepare to recite the ritual words. Oh, crap. There is life in death and death in life. There is a rippling shift in the air around you, as if some unfelt wind has changed, bringing unexpected warmth. You feel the peculiar weight of an unseen presence and of eyes upon you. You kneel and pray to Bareth. Even while your eyes are closed, you see a road that seems to stretch on forever. The stars wheel overhead in a clockwork rotation of constellations, disappearing over the horizon to your left, only to rise on your right. You try to make out the details on either side of the road, but your eyes can't seem to focus. One moment you think you see a meadow blanketed with mist, and another sheer canyon walls. For just an instant, you even see waves lapping at the edges of the road. Were you to step into the shifting landscape, you feel certain you would only end up back on the road. You know this is a vision, but the packed dirt feels firm beneath your feet, and the night air cool on your face. You are walking. Your feet seem to carry you forward of their own accord. Something looms ahead of you. As you get closer, you see two stone figures that look strangely familiar. Our old friends, life and death in life. We're in the realm of the twinned god, and here are its two aspects. You remember the door to Cleobon Rilog, and the two figures carved into the mountain next to it. One looks vaguely male, and the other vaguely female. Only a thin layer of flesh covers their skeletal bodies, which twist to face the doorway between them. The doorway, however, is not what you saw in the ruins. It's a skull, gaping and jawless, and as you look on, its open mouth seems to grow. The arms of the two stone sculptures are swept toward the mouth, inviting you in.
Well, let's enter.
The road continues through the maw to another shifting landscape surrounded by stars. As you pass through it, you see an identical doorway in the distance. A dwarven man stands near it, unmoving. You turn and look behind you only to see the skull gate you just passed. Facing you, an elven woman waits in the road. Like the dwarf, she stands still. So these are both the same. I guess I'll just keep heading forward towards the dwarven man. You continue down the road toward him. He looks up as you approach, but you can't tell if he's looking at you or through you. His face is smooth but flaccid, as if the flesh has detached from the muscles underneath. And you look on, his face begins to change. Wrinkles crack at the corners of his eyes. His mouth sinks, carving deep lines from his nose to the corners of his lips. His jowls sag, and the loose flesh hangs like dough. He raises his cupped hands. They're covered in blood. He lifts them to his face and smears himself, from his newly creased forehead to the wattles of his neck. As he massages the dark, sticky fluid into his skin, the flesh wrinkles disappear. The hanging folds recede, and his flesh tightens as if re-adhering to his skull. He lifts his head, and this time you know he's looking at you. His renewed face looks like a mask, artificially smooth and still. Behind it, his black eyes are two hungry pits, yawning like the empty mouths of skulls.
Come, make your sacrifice to Ithignull.
His body blocks the path. He extends a bloody hand toward you. Then I'll take his hand. You grab his hand, but his skin gives too easily under your grip. As you try to pull away, you hear a noise like dried canvas tearing. His skin splits, following a long seam that begins at his arm and stretches the length of his body. Blood gushes forth in such quantities that you can't imagine there was ever anything else in him. Sure enough, as the dwarf empties of blood, he collapses like a desiccated husk. The blood in the path gleams with 1,000 souls' worth of essence. The essence evaporates, trailing shining filaments into the night sky. Only now that he is dead can you continue onward. The blood pools around your feet, and you look up and see the elven woman waiting further down the road. I suppose we'll approach the elven woman, I guess. You start toward her. There's something unnatural about the way she stands. She's too still. When you get closer, you see that her legs taper into a slender trunk, and in place of her feet are gnarled, twisting roots. She lifts her face to an invisible sun. Her long golden hair is the color of Her long golden hair is the color of autumn leaves, and as you look more closely, you realize that her head is actually covered with tendrils and vines, sprouting brilliant yellow leaves. Each glimmers with the essence of an entire soul. She gives you a beatific smile. A beatific smile? I've never read that word. As you look on, the leaves slowly fall from her head and settle at her roots. They melt into the path beneath her, and almost immediately, new leaves sprout in the place of the old. She reaches toward you, still smiling, as roots spring from her fingertips. Her outstretched arms bar the path. Come, graft your soul to the golden grove. I'm a fruit. I'll take her hand. Her roots twine around your fingers, and as they do, they grow rigid and cold. Her outstretched arm petrifies, and as a rough stone bark overtakes her flesh, she can only look on in horror. You break away from her brittle grasp. Her feet are rooted in place, but she twists and writhes as if trying to flee her own dying limb. The petrification reaches her shoulder and spreads down in her body, freezing it in a painful arc. It creeps up her neck, and she throws her face skyward like a drowning swimmer. The grayness covers her face, freezing her gasp in stone. Now that she is still and lifeless, you can continue past her. Only the golden leaves on her head remain untouched, and as you watch, they fall one by one to the path below. They shrivel as the shimmering essence fades from them. A voice echoes along the road, barely more than a whisper on the breeze. Return them to the wheel. You lift your gaze and see the skull gate ahead of you on the path. The candles of Ter Evron wink through the open mouth. Well, that was pretty cryptic. Well, I guess we could always just save it and try it. Earn divine favor. Servant of Death? Okay. End the lives of the two figures from Barrett's vision. Okay. Okay. Return them to the wheel. So we gotta find a old dwarven man. Okay, that's handy. Mogren and Abaddon. So there as a bunch over here with Gallowayne. And Rimergond, Andra, and Skane are over here as a bunch. I can't pray to Hylia or Weil or Boudica. Probably for good reason, I'm sure. Let's go find those people, I guess. Excuse me, sisters. I have
What
questions.
do you wish to know?
Keeper Garost. Ethicnul? What? A dwarven man stands motionless near the roaring fire that lights the cavern.
Your sacrifice feeds the land, supplicants. Come forth.
A gust of smoke curls around him, licking the charred flesh that bulges on his forearms. They suddenly flex.
Estrum,
The dwarf holds his fists in a tight grip.
your kin doesn't come here to share with the tribes. What do you want?
But tell me about the Ethicnul.
That's who we are.
Dwarf picks on his scarred forearm. His guttural sigh mingles with the crackling of wood and bones behind him.
As I said, Estrum Orwin rarely visit our halls. Our order has thrived for generations. Before we came to Twin Elms, our rights fed the land of the Eastern Mountains. Now we share blood for Airglanf.
The Rost opens his palms. Strikes of red skin run through them like flames.
To everything that must end, our sacrifices bring a new beginning.
He looks up.
We sustain what's to come.
Sacrifices? Gross spreads his stocky legs apart and locks his forearms.
Everything must die to return anew, Estramor. Through the sacrificial rites we offer supplicants the honor of giving their most precious gift back to their brethren, back to the land.
Excuse me, what? The precious gift of blood back to their brethren? You guys are drinking blood in here?
The blood gives us strength. Even the Glonfathans have come to depend on the blood paint. They brim with power before battle, all thanks to the sacrifices of their kin. Remember, Estramor, you're a guest in these halls. Respect our ways and we'll tolerate your presence among us.
So, he's real sus. I'm thinking he is the guy. The dwarf, at least. Is the elf also within here? Smoke curls up from these charred skeletons. The smell is nauseating. Yeah, what the heck is going on here? A little bit of a labyrinth here. What's up there, keeper? You are also a dwarf.
Many blessings, traveler.
What do you do here? Sell and maintain goods? Huh. As an earth blight. The bravest sons and daughters fall not by the swords of Estremorwin, but by the daggers of their brethren. Yeah, that's pretty dark. Is this where the supplicants stay?
Now this I haven't seen before.
Oh my goodness. Yep,
I'll stay out of sight.
traps, of course. Flask of war paint. So they paint themselves in the blood of their brothers? Strange. That looks like a ritual room. Essence within to nurture flesh, and essence without to strengthen. The heat emanating from this pool threatens to singe the flesh off your face. Okay. My goodness, what are they doing? There's just a bit too much there going on. No. Oh my goodness. The blood of sacrifice waters the soil of Eric Lanfoth. Man, this took a really dark turn.
I'll go on ahead.
Don't like it.
See now what the flame has shown us?
Hot picks? Sweet. Naka? The petitioner before you is swaddled in loose-fitting robes. Her hair is greasy and matted. A glossy film of sweat and grime coats her exposed skin. She has the swollen features of pregnancy and several missing teeth in her big, grinning smile. As you approach, she slowly turns to you and examines you from head to toe, smiling the entire time. "Joyous day to you," she says, despite coming from a wearied body. Her voice sounds resonant and relaxed. "I am Neka, midwife and lorekeeper." Her hands run across the slight bulge in her belly. She rolls her head back and sighs a relaxed purr. "You feeling well?" "Flawless," she replies. "Apologies, I should be left to my meditation. The rite of strength is invigorating, almost overwhelming to the senses." Yeah, I'll bet it's overwhelming your senses. It's probably doing a lot more, too. Head for, like, this ritual room I saw coming up over here. And there's another dwarf. What's going on there? Oh.
As your blood flows, so shall your essence. Your life's energy shall feed the soil, and your soul's energy shall enrich the community. This is by your own choosing, supplicant?
Huh. Yes, the elf's voice is high but even. The dwarf grips a hatchet with both hands and raises it over his head. He throws his shoulders forward and swings the weapon into the elf's chest, connecting with a meaty thump. Blood gushes around the blade, and the sacrifice's screams rend the air. Haravius' hand clutches his chest as his eyes widens in amazement.
I did say I wanted to see the teachings of other druids, but I think I was imagining more. Dried herbs and chanting. We never did that in my circle back home. Never.
Despite his earlier agreement, the elf thrashes atop the stone table, his torso arcing while his arms and legs remain tied in place. Meanwhile, the dwarf spreads his arms wide and allows blood to spatter his robes. When the elf is finally silent and still, the dwarf pulls his hatchet from the body and wipes it on his hem. Kana makes a disgusted noise and turns away. I think I preferred these rites when they were only words upon a page. Why did I look? It's not as if I didn't expect it. Well, go investigate it, Palagina. Streaks of red-brown blood and globs of tissue have worked themselves into the minute grooves of the stone. The dwarf wears crimson robes that are stained and streaked with dark patches. His face is smooth but lacking youthful elasticity. It's as if the lines and wrinkles have been formed and erased many times over. He watches you with eyes like two black pits as he wipes his hatchet on his robes.
Hail, Estremor.
Few outsiders dare to venture this far into Blood Sands. You, however, are not easily intimidated. What brings you here?
Bareth believes it's time you paid your dues. Then he can descend from his mighty pantheon and tell me himself. That's why I'm here.
Since when do the gods send mortals to collect? You're much too talkative to be the usher. This is the trouble with deities. They meddle in a world that they don't even inhabit. I hope they've promised you something better for your next life.
What a Glenfathan. No respect for the gods.
This fight is mine!
Should be aggressive.
Lover beyond sea.
Thicker than rock, blinder than a whorepoxed bat.
Okay, well, that's the dwarf dealt with. Next. So we need to find an elf of a grove. I think I know where I could find something like that. Well, since we're taking out the blood sands, we might as well, you know, take some treasures for the roads. You know, stuff like that. At least taking the treasures makes sense to me, you know? It's not like they're going to need it. You know, they have a treasure enough. The blood of their brothers all over them. Stuff like that. There's nothing really wrong with, like, killing all of these cultists, surely. They don't have any respect for the gods, so, like, I don't see why anyone would care. At least not that much. The only reason I can imagine they do it is because they're cultists. So I'm essentially just trying to justify to myself why I'm killing all these people and taking their treasures. Which I am perfectly fine with. Keep her word, that doesn't care. I heard the screams of the others and smelled their blood in the air. A grim irony that the Ethic Noodle should perish alongside a millennium of sacrifices. You're doing? Come to finish an old blind woman too? Or have you other business? Well, if you're an old blind woman that doesn't want to fight, don't be sacrificing any more people. Got it? This is your last straw. You do it, and I'll be back, lady. I think we're just about through with all this. Let's take this stuff in here, too. It's not like they needed it. I've already been through there, already through there. I think we cleared the house out. Alrighty. Let's go find an elf. Think of some small idea on where the Golden Grove is. This is a grove over here. It does have goldenish leaves here. All that. Ovates. Ledha? Nah, not you. Iswild.
Estremor,
Oh, yeah. Golden Grove. Who leads your order? Hive Ovate Arona. Ah, there she is. Found him. An elf stands on a dais in the middle of a clearing. The ground is blanketed with leaves and various shades of russet and gold. Her eyes are closed and her arms folded in front of you. A curtain of autumnal yellow hair hangs in front of her face. As you draw near, she lifts her chin and looks at you with shifting hazel eyes.
Greetings, Estremor. You are among the Ovates of the Golden Grove.
Bareth has sent me to end your life. It has continued for too long.
And counted on your silent acceptance of such commands, no doubt. What is a god that his voice should carry so far? And what are you that you should so eagerly obey? The gods only have dominion over what we cede, and you would cede matters of life and death to them.
I mean, if not them, then who?
The gods set the rules and let us do as we will, but that is merely a test, and only a fool thinks he has been ceded anything. You do what your god wants, or you face the fire. This woman is about to become an example.
I've made my decision, I think. I want to help Bareth, so that she'll, or he, or it will help me. She shakes her head. It is a shame we could not come to an accord.
Lava, beyond seeking.
Well, now that that's dealt with, now we just return to Bareth, I guess. Okay. To come back and appease Bareth. Just pray again to them, I guess. As you pray to Bareth, you again find yourself on the road. Squinting into the distance, you see a short, pale figure waiting for you. At first, you think it's another vision of Archdruid Raced, but then you notice the figure's skeletal frame and rictus grin. He stands in front of another skull gate, but the way leads down, not onward. He beckons for you to approach.
The usher, gatekeeper at this road. Not for here for us, I hope. I'm not done just yet.
Behind you is a woman, her skin milk pale against her black hair. She wears a suit of armor so dark it seems to suck the light from the stars. The road winds up a mountain behind her. Okay, that must be the Pallid Knight.
A toll, traveler.
Okay. Ah, and here's the Pallid Knight. That toll will grow steeper with time. What do I pay, though? You drop a few coppers into her hand, and she closes her fist around the coins. You instantly feel a small weight added to your purse. The lord of this road demands a toll of all, but he lends generously. Then, that all might travel his road again. Behind her, the usher grins his lipless smile and waits. The road bores into the mountain. You find yourself in a gigantic cavern. The ceiling curves up and away, and it's dotted with moisture. At this distance, the shining beads look like stars clustered and scattered in constellations. The usher and the Pallid Knight lead you up a trail carved into the edge of the cavern. Two identical cave mouths wait up ahead, and you follow the usher to one of them. Standing at the edge and gazing down, you see an endless, ever-changing plain bisected by a road. Only then do you realize that you are no longer on the road. As you follow the road to the point where it disappears below you, you realize that you're standing in one of the eye sockets of a massive skull. The usher points to the road. Archdruid Raiston appears below you. He's just as you remembered him, stern and smooth-skinned, yet with each step along the road he grows, swelling with blood and essence. His heavy steps become slower and slower until he stops altogether. His distended body fills the path completely.
You met a dwarf traveling this road. What did you do?
He had lived many centuries. I brought him death. The pallid knight's flesh is taut against her skull. She nods once, barely dipping her chin.
And every death begins in a new life.
As Raiston's swollen body ruptures, the effect is like a dam bursting. Ghostly figures as hazy and indistinct as wisps of smoke continue along the cleared path. Some tumble and rush along, while others amble and drift. But all continue forward. The usher directs your attention to another figure moving down the path. This time you see High Ovate Irona. As she follows the road, her movements become slow and erratic. Her legs creak with each step, and her feet grow long, thick roots that burrow into the ground. She finally stops, rooted in place.
You found a tree that had lived for centuries. Its roots were deep, and its boughs sheltered many. Why did you cut it down?
Trees don't belong in the road?
The Lord of the Road does not trade favors. He grants passage and extracts his toll, nothing more. But it may be that in serving his interests, you further your own.
That's right. Irona's body petrifies below, and the shimmering leaves of her hair blow down the path.
You seek another who has lived his lives on the brink of the cycle.
He sits on the inside of the wheel, observing its revolutions. With each life, he is plucked from the stream and returned to it intact. Why do you hunt Theos? I seek resolution in confronting him. I'll put an end to the pain he's caused me.
You seek always the practical, straightforward answer. But the only resolution is a clean slate. An end that leads to a new beginning.
Ravius chuckles nervously, his complexion reddening.
Well said. You can't blossom into a new person until you sever the diseased roots.
He pats you on the side with a grimy paw and smiles.
Theos will be made to explain himself, even if we have to tear the answers out of him.
Theos serves Woedica.
She desires an escape from her own cycle, power without decline.
Theos has removed thousands of souls from the cycle so that their essence might empower her. The black depths of her eyes threaten to swallow you.
You must stop him, and you must return them to the cycle.
Okay, I must go to Sun and Shadow now.
No mortal can survive the descent into the pit. But there are souls on the burial isle that are pledged to me. I will grant them to you, and they shall bear you down safely, as well as light the way beyond.
A multitude appears at the other end of the road, raising their voices and kicking up dust as they make their way toward you.
Return them to the cycle, Watcher. Promise that you will, and I shall give you power befitting a champion of death.
Accept my favor, however, and I will demand this decision as your due. I collect all from mortals in time. I promise to return the souls to the cycle.
So be it, Watcher.
Do not forget your promise. Yasha reaches out and places a bony hand on your forehead. His touch overwhelms you, and you feel yourself expand. Blinded, you reach out, only to find another grasping hand of the same size and shape as yours reaching back. I've been granted Berth's boon. When at last you open your eyes, you are standing in Ter Evron, filled with Berth's power. Well, that was a doozy and a half.
Stop right there.
Uh-oh. Come on.
You're in the wrong city, Inquisitor.
Uh-huh.
Did you think you wouldn't be recognized here in your old home? I've seen your trials with my own eyes.
Is that where your voice acting ends? I have seen you light pyres with good people tied to them. People I'd known many a year. He seizes you by the throat and your airway tightens. Whether real or imagined, you cannot tell. They deserve your confession. He raises the point of his sword, holding it a hair's breadth from your eye.
Suros, what are you doing?
Startled, the soldier releases you immediately and turns to face the speaker, a woman in a plain wool tunic, fully a head shorter than he, but somehow seeming to tower over him. You have seen this woman's face before, but from afar, bloodied and burned as she lay stretched across an iron wheel. At the moment, it is marked only with concern.
An assassin sent by the Inquisition, my lady, daring to approach our camp.
If he is so poor an assassin as to approach an armed guard in daylight, I should have nothing to fear. I would hear what this man has to say. She stares him down until he can no longer face her. He turns away, sour-faced, watching you through sidelong glances, his knuckles white around the pommel of his sword.
Surely this is some trick of my mind. I did not expect to see you again.
Grand Inquisitor Theos Ix Arcanon dispatched me here to spy on you. Are things as desperate as that over there? I'd never have known. I hope your next assignment is more stimulating. Listening to my lectures is dull work for a spy. It is special to have an old pupil return to me. I must have done something right, even after having taught so much that was wrong. Whatever your reasons, I've missed you over all these years. Having you here now, at a time when I'm surrounded by strangers, is a wonderful gift.
I would like for you to stay here in our camp as my guest.
My lady Ivara, I beg of you, this is an Inquisitor. This is a desperate attempt on your life. The only way it can succeed is if you allow it to.
This is a missionary, same as I was, taught the wrong things as I was. If I can't have faith in one man's ability to reason, once he knows the truth, what hope do we have?
Yeah.
My lady, he admits being a spy.
That should make him less of a threat, wouldn't you agree? I have nothing to hide. All I see here is an opportunity to persuade someone who could help us. We have many former missionaries here. They are our most loyal, our most helpful. Many have died for us. These are not people we should be turning away. And if the Inquisition wants my life, they can have it. But they know as well as I do that my cause will not die with me. Come, we have much to talk about.
Goodness, I'm getting too many memories again. And with that, a godly episode of Pillars of Eternity. We've come to Ter Evron only to find out Theos has blocked the way behind him, knowing that we are chasing him, I'm sure. And so we must descend the pit and pray to a god so that we don't die along the way, because it is quite a jump into the pit. So we sided with Bareth. Death. But I don't think we should fear death. It's not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. This is Master Barkle from Brighthelm Recording, signing off.